Welcome to the Investor Empowerment Series radio show, empowering your real estate investing with techniques, opportunities, and information, minus the BS and sales pitches. Now, please welcome the host of the Investor Empowerment Series, Joe Mueller, from the Tough as Nails Investment Syndicate, Joe Mueller.
Hey investors, I wanted to give a quick insider opportunity to the listeners out there who are currently doing deals or just getting started and looking to create more financial efficiencies for their real estate business. Introducing Investors Title Services, a much lower cost option for procuring the necessary title insurance policies for your real estate transactions. Think about how much money you've spent on title insurance in the past on either your current purchases or sales, and think about how much you'd be savings if just a couple $100s per transaction ended up back in your pocket. Well, now you can by optimizing the relationships that other investors have established that you currently need for your business. That's what we do here at Investors Title Services. If you're a fix and flipper, a wholesaler, or a buy and hold landlord, we specifically serve this small niche, offering you the best deal on title policy insurance. Call 847-443-9676 today to learn more about how you can save hundreds of dollars, if not more, on your next title insurance policy.
We're currently sitting here with, what's your name?
Riveted Holdings.
Bidding on a property on hubzu.com, which we've talked about multiple times on the podcast before, about one of the opportunities you can use to add additional properties to your inventory or as a fix and flip, and they often have some pretty decent deals. So right now we're down to 56 seconds on this property, which we looked at a couple days ago. We're going to go over how Hubzu works, but Mr. Riveted Holdings is going to be placing a bid here. Currently at what, $88,000?
$88,000. I'm going to throw a bid at $89,000. It's going to only allow me to do $1,000 increments at this point. So here goes the bid.
Bid it.
See what happens. So once the bid goes in, it's going to add 15 minutes to the total time, which it just did, and I'm outbid by an auto bidder.
Again?
Yeah.
I have to sit here for another 15 minutes with you now?
No, I can throw in another bid real quick in 20 seconds to see if I will be the winner without adding another 15 minutes to it. There are 5 more seconds here. Confirm that bid. Oh, it just went in. Yeah. Hey, I'm the highest bidder at 91, Joe, and it just added 50. So we're going to sit here for 15 minutes, and hopefully nobody else bids higher than this.
You're the highest bidder?
I'm the highest bidder right now at 91.
Oh, that's a good price for that place.
91 and...
See, now what's interesting on my end, for the listening pleasure, we're both on our computer. Oh, okay, now it just updated. I'm sorry. I was going to say it didn't update me immediately. It actually ticked down to 0.
Oh, really?
On my end, and it sat there for like 10 seconds, if not more.
I saw your face.
Yeah, right.
It was pretty. It was pretty entertaining. So you thought the bid had ended, or the auction had ended.
So you're the highest bid at $91,000. We talked a little bit about. Let's talk about the property, because I think that's kind of important for the listeners to know about, especially since this is an audio podcast and not video.
Sure.
What would you like to know? Let's give out all the details. We don't need an address, because I think that's, for whatever reason, I'm a little leery of giving that stuff out, even on my stuff too. So I wouldn't ask you to do that. But it's a brick. What would that be called? Like a step ranch? It's a ranch with a walkout.
It's a ranch. It's totally a ranch with a walkout. Yeah, it's on a hill,
right?
That provides
Hillside
that
ranch.
capability. Hillside Ranch. There you go.
That's what it's called. Okay, yeah. Good realtor should know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what? Bedroom, bath count, values. Let's go over all that stuff.
Yeah, we're looking at a 3-bedroom. And it shows as a 2-bath here. As since we walked through the property, you showed me the property. It's a 1 full bedroom upstairs and then a half bath in the walkout basement area.
1 full bathroom upstairs. You mean?
1 full bathroom. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It does actually have that full bathroom has a stand-up shower and a tub in it as well, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's got a separate shower in the bathroom. So one of the things we noticed, other than the fact that it's brick, and it does need some work. I don't know if you call it like maybe a light to moderate rehab. Would you say? It's not like a gut job.
Not a gut job at all. I would, depending on what you want to do with the property. Yeah, I'm in that range of a moderate, probably, to make it where I would like to put it.
So the property's got, for heating, it's got a boiler.
Correct.
And it's got what are those called? Registers?
Yeah, the baseboard.
Baseboard registers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So those are all made out of steel?
Cast iron, actually.
Cast iron.
Which is interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen the cast iron ones that are baseboard style. They're not the big radiator stand-up, like 3 foot tall stuff. And they actually go around the whole perimeter of the rooms that they're in.
So a lot of cast iron baseboard heaters, or radiators, whatever they're called, throughout the entire first floor and bottom floor of this property. But the property sustained some freeze damage, it looks like, when over probably last winter, I assume, because we haven't had cold enough temperatures until the last week or two to actually freeze anything at this point, at least in Illinois.
Right.
So did you have one of the things we noticed was like every baseboard radiator had like a broken pipe every like foot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It's like it was because it's a closed system, so it's full of water, and it just popped in multiple spots, like literally dozens of spots throughout the house.
Right.
Did you have the HVAC guy go there?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He actually gave me a quote over the phone. He is very familiar with the system that I was telling him about. I'm comfortable enough with knowing that the boiler was solid, but with just the radiators, he actually stated we should just replace the radiators. It's cheaper to replace the radiator system itself. It's not going to be a continuous radiator system like we have currently in the house, but it would be like a 3 foot sections of radiators,
which is more customary to what you see today.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
But they would be all tied into that existing boiler.
Okay. So what was that cost? I mean, you don't have to give me exact numbers. What was that cost like?
Since this house does not have AC in it, it's just got the boiler. So in the summertime, there's no, unless you use a window AC,
Right.
There's no AC per se. He was giving a quote around $4,500 or so for just replacing all the base radiators and using the existing boiler. Again, that does not give me AC. He doubled that price about to give me a full AC with taking out the boiler, putting in a furnace, and putting in ductwork and things like that.
So it was like 9-ish?
Yeah, 9-ish. Yeah, 85 to 9.
What if you needed? I mean, just out of curiosity, did you price it out if you did the new baseboard radiators, and you needed a new boiler, or did he look? Because he didn't look at it, right?
No, he did not look at the boiler.
Yeah.
So I did not.
You think? I mean, but it looked like it was in decent enough shape to.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, that's awesome. All right, so we got 9 minutes left. Actually, about 10. 9 minutes 55 seconds on this online bidding platform that we're sitting here trying to get this property on, which is hubzoo.com. If I didn't mention it earlier, for any of the listeners. Oh, you just got outbid.
No way.
Yeah, you did.
I don't even see it on my end. There it is. There it is.
And the jerk didn't wait till it got to 1 minute, so now we got to sit here for 24 more minutes.
Ugh.
We might have to pause this and come back.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Well,
how did you see it? I don't even see it on my end.
I see it. Here, let's see if it was the same bidder. And it was.
Yeah.
Told you he's watching.
Okay. Yeah.
Told you.
You are correct. That's
He's
too
watching.
bad. That is too bad. I see 24 minutes now.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. And so we figured this property would be worth fixed up, and Mr. Riveted Holdings wants to keep it as a rental, but the ARV on it is probably at least $180,000, right? Kind of came up with that together?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I think so. It's brick. It's in a great area of Chicago. Good schools. It's actually a very spacious house, hardwood throughout. Like he said before, 2-bath. It's got a garage, 1-car attached garage to it. Needs a kitchen, needs baths, needs some other cosmetics, like any other property you'd buy for rehab to rent. But honestly, it's a solid property. That's one thing I like about it for sure.
Yeah, I think the interesting part walking through this is that the bones of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about the bones of the house. Very solid, and really the things that need to be updated can be done so relatively easily. Like you said, the hardwood floors on the first floor, throughout the whole first floor, are in actually really good condition. I mean, maybe a light sanding and refinishing, even if I were going to go that route. But
yeah, you maybe keep them as is.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's got a fireplace.
Fireplace is nice. Got some wood in there too, so you have a nice fire in there ready to go as soon as you win this bid. So he's bidding against an individual on this property again, we'll start talking about Hubzu a little bit, but on Hubzu, you can actually view the bid history. So for those of you unfamiliar, if you were to log into the website, you have to create an account. It's free. As you're looking at a property that's currently active, which they have, dozens, if not hundreds, going on concurrently all at the same time, starting and ending at different times every day of the week, you can click on it, and it has a timer that's ticking down. Like right now, we're at 22 minutes left. You can click on View All Bids, and it shows that since the bidding started, there was an individual. They just show initials JK, and then NW, and then JK, and NW, and then Riveted Holdings got in. Riveted Holdings started bidding, but right now it's our buyer here on the podcast and one other individual that seem to be going against each other based on what we're seeing on the bid history. And I think since his initials are NW, I'm pretty sure it's No Wooler, which is a close relative of
no
mine.
way.
No way.
Is he going to win this?
Right. So another interesting thing we kind of figured out with Hubzu was once your bidding once the timer of the auction gets below 15 minutes, if you place an additional bid during the less than 15-minute timeline, it tacks on an additional 15 minutes every time.
Correct.
So in theory, if we really wanted this property, every time it goes below 15 minutes, you place another bid. Like right now, there's another buyer who's the highest bidder. Right now we're at 20 minutes. We bid again, that tacks on another 15 minutes. So it can be a timely process, but what?
Well, actually, so maybe for some clarification,
Sure.
It's sitting here at 20 minutes and 45 seconds. If I hit a bid right now, it'll stay at 20 minutes and 40-some seconds to still tick down.
Correct.
So if you waited below that 15-minute mark and then put a bid at, say, 14 minutes and 30 seconds, it's going to add 15 minutes on top of that 14:30, which makes it then that 29:30. Right, okay, sorry.
No, you're right, 100%. No, thanks for clarifying. So the good thing is we met the minimum bid or the reserve, which I would say most of these auctions have a reserve price that they preset on the auction website. And this one hit at $80,000, which is actually a great. I mean, if Mr. Riveted Holdings was the only buyer bidding on this, and he hit that reserve at $80,000, I mean that would be a great price. So there are some. My point is there are some opportunities when you utilize these websites. The problem is you're subject to the other bidders that are out there that are crazy, and could be some hedge fund in New York right now that's bidding against you.
Sure.
Has no idea about the property and probably hasn't even seen it, which, by the way, they do penalize you on Hubzu if you withdraw a bid after you're the winning bidder. They keep track of you, and after 2 or 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out, and they ban you from Hubzu. But in theory, I'm sure you can just create a new email address and start a new account, and they don't know the difference. But whatever.
Right.
I'm just saying. I had that happen once because. Let's talk about that. The backup bid, the backup offer.
The backup offer.
Yeah, so you submit a bid.
Oh,
right now.
Right, I gotcha. So yeah, you submit a bid right now, and one of the boxes you can check.
While you're bidding,
I'm going to hit the button right now, place a bid. I'm not actually going to submit it, but one of the buttons that comes up is you can check or uncheck. It says if I'm not the selected bidder, hold my bid as a backup for, and it gives you options for 10 days, 15 days, 30 days. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that if for some reason this no way guy wins this bid, that then all of a sudden he pulls out from the bidding process after he's the top dog winner.
Right,
he gets no way.
Right,
then he gets slapped by Hubzu, and then they give it to me, or they contact me.
They give it to you.
Oh, they give it to me
because they consider that. So that's an important note to bring up. And this is my own experience. When you bid on something on Hubzu and you put yourself down as a backup offer, I think they call it backup offer, not backup bid, right?
It says hold my bid as a backup for 30 days. Okay.
So within that 30-day time frame, if at any point the highest bidder, because you didn't win the auction, backs out of the deal, then they actually immediately all you the contract and everything to sign off on. I know you're looking at my awesome sweater.
It is a sweet sweater.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice.
Very special.
For all of you that don't see it right now, Joe's wearing this awesome Christmas sweater, and you will have to wear that to one of the meetups.
Our next meetup on December 19th is going to be our holiday. Wait, I think I called it the Doorbuster Holiday Gathering for the Millennium. I don't know what I called it, but there's a little notation in there that special prizes given away not only for the 2017 success story of the year. So everyone's going to have an opportunity to present like their best experience this year.
Cool. I hope this is mine.
Yeah, no, I think so too. That'd be awesome. And we're going to give away prizes.
Nice.
There's a stack of prizes on that table over there, by the way, that I got from the Goodwill. But anyway, there's going to be a little something maybe for anyone who decides to get in the Christmas spirit and dress up like I dress up around Christmas, which is a little goofy. So you very well may see this very sweater on December 19th at our offices here where we hold the meetup at Tanis Group in Algonquin, Illinois.
I hope you wash it, I'm just saying.
I probably will not wash it.
Okay, all right. It's part of the
We're back. We're almost at the 15-minute mark again.
Yeah, I'm at 16:43, so I'm sitting here with my finger hovering over the confirmed bid. So it gives me an opportunity now at 16 minutes and 30 seconds. If I go ahead and place my bid, it's not going to add 15 minutes, but I'm going to see if this guy's going to come back with an auto bid, right? So
one thing why we're recording this is because I like Mr. Riveted Holdings' strategy on how he's bidding on this property. Because typically I'll just sit here. If I'm bidding on something, I'll just sit there and watch it, let the clock tick down, bid again, and it adds 15 minutes. So it's almost like it's like you're being battle tested. You're sitting here, and for every $1,000 that you bid up, it adds on 15 more minutes. And at some point, especially given the fact it's almost 5 o'clock here in Chicago, and who knows where this other bidder is? Like maybe it's 7 o'clock or whatever. Actually be 6 o'clock if he's on the East Coast or something.
Sure.
Or she, I should say. It could be. There could be a time factor. Like maybe at some point the guy or the gal's like, all right, I got to go. I got a date tonight. I got to check out. I don't know, but you can do this off your phone.
I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for that. So we're hitting 15 minutes, 30 seconds. I just placed my bid. My bid amount was at 93 right now, and I'm currently the highest bidder. So we'll see what the response is from the other side.
See, the only problem with your theory is when you wait till like 16 minutes. He might not see it for another minute, and then it tacks on another. So you should do it at like minute number 18.
I'm learning that. Yes.
No, we're learning together.
Yeah, because you're right. Because when he outbid me, I didn't see it for a while. It seemed like you got it, and then I didn't get it for a while. So I agree with you that if you really want to reduce the time you're sitting in front of here, maybe that 18-minute mark to give them an opportunity to look at it, review it, readjust their strategy.
Right. So the other kicker with Hubzu is they actually charge a 5%
buyer's premium.
Yeah, 5% buyer's premium in addition to your highest bid. So that's something that anybody who's doing this needs to consider is when you're bidding, and if you're bidding $100,000 or your high bid is $100,000 and that's what the auction ends at, they're going to tack on another 5% on top of that, which is basically their income that they take in for handling the auction. Even though they technically own the properties, to the best of my knowledge, they still charge 5% higher. So it's almost like a little kicker on the backside for them to make a little bit more cash off you for running their auction business in addition to selling their properties. Kind of interesting. Yeah,
and I think there's also earnest money that needs to be placed on here that I saw. I think it was in the realm of $2,800 or so that has to be paid right away at end of auction.
Isn't it 3%?
You know what? I'm not familiar enough. I would have to look at that.
Yeah, I think so if you end up bidding again, which fingers crossed you don't, but it'll come up when you win the bid. I think it's like a 3% automatic calculation is what they do.
And that obviously goes towards your purchase price when you go to closing. But
right.
So we're sitting at 13 minutes, 20 seconds. Last time that this guy threw a bid in was around that 6-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where we're going to sit with that.
We've got 12 minutes left. You're still the highest bidder.
So exciting. That is exciting. One of the things that, before I came here, Joe, is that I was really appreciative of, number one, is you helping me through this process, because this is totally a new process for me.
Right.
I think what's important as somebody who's sitting down on this side of the screen for the first time is to have a solid number that they're willing to go at, because as auctions go, and this is a little, I shouldn't say a little bit slower pace. This is a lot slower pace than an actual live auction, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I've never been to a live auction, but I've seen them on TV for cars and everything else.
Right.
And people getting, hyped up.
Right.
Based on the situation, right? Well, this at least gives you some time to think about it. It is a big purchase, but at least not, coming in and just getting wrapped up in the auction process and bidding over what you believe the right numbers are. So any good real estate investor, I think, is important to, make your number, your hard number that you're gonna meet, and then after that, you just have to walk. You have to be able to get up and walk away.
Yep. Yeah. No, you got to accept it and realize it. And I'll give some real life examples. I was bidding on a house probably 3-4 weeks ago. I guess it doesn't really matter. In one of the areas that I like to personally invest in, and it was a Hubzu property. What's that noise? I heard something. Yeah. It was a Hubzu property, and I think the original bidding was starting at $50,000 or $60,000. That's great. I own some other properties in the area that are rentals, and I went and looked at the house before I bid, and I was like, all right, this is a nice, easy, we'll call it a light rehab. It had updated mechanicals in it, which I loved. It had newer siding, newer windows. The roof looked pretty good. I can't determine an age because I'm no expert, but I would say less than 10 years old. Nice house. Probably you could move. I mean, you could definitely move into it after you had the water turned on and the gas turned on, and have a functional house that you could move into, which is probably the reason why I ended up losing the auction was because my top price was like $95,000 that I would have paid for that particular property. Because, as an investor, we all want to buy something that's got some built-in equity, some opportunity there. You want it at a discount. That's just the way it is. In the end, the property sold for $115,000 as the highest bid, which I thought was crazy because you could have bought that on the regular market maybe, because it still needed some work. And with that 5% buyer's premium, maybe it was higher than 15. But I remember the total bid price was, after all said and done, was $124,000. So whatever that number is, back it off by 5%. I don't recall exactly, but that's a high price for a property that still needs a bunch of work, at least on the inside. And you really don't know what you're getting into because it's a foreclosed home. All the utilities are off. You're taking a higher risk. You don't have time to do a home inspection. There's no home inspection clause built into these auction properties. So if there's a massive crack in the foundation or a stink hole, as I like to call it, sinkhole in the backyard or something, you don't know about it, I mean, you're screwed. So there's a lot higher risk, and it's funny how some properties sell for more than I would have thought it probably would have sold for on the MLS, which is interesting. But anyway. Just bringing that up.
Do you think that that's part of the factors of auctions themselves? Yeah,
I think it was. I think it was an owner-occupant bidder who knew that typically, he probably wanted to get some type of fixer-upper, which is fine. It was in a good area. Typically he or she's not going to be able to achieve a price he's not going to be able to hit that price. So we're at $94,000. So this is exactly what we're talking about. What I mentioned, this one I wouldn't say is move-in ready because you have no functional heating plant in the house. I mean, you will have no heat, and for anybody who's been to Chicago in December or January, you know that you cannot live in a house without heat in this area. But some people are willing to go to the next level and take a risk, even though they might be better off just going with a straight-up retail sale if they're an owner-occupant. But a lot of owner-occupants bid this stuff up. These auction companies market these properties very well. They're all over the place. They're emailing constantly. As soon as you click on their website and you create an account, I mean, you're getting hit up by them all the time. So,
yeah, going back 15, 17 years, I wish I would have known about something like this. I don't know if Hubzu was around then, but
they were 5 years old, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Maybe
it would have been nice to. This is a good time to be a first-time home buyer and buy a house like this to live in, owner occupy, and rebuild. So I think I'm going to go with your suggestion, and I'm going to go ahead and place a bid now, even though we're sitting at 21 minutes, just to give this guy some time to digest it, so we don't keep adding time. Unless, because I can see your point, unless you think that this adding time could be leverage.
I don't know. From the other point of the perspective, you have 15 minutes to sit here and stare at it and go, yeah, I can pay another $1,000. I'm guessing that's what the algorithms behind, however they determined their bidding structure is from. Because you're sitting here going, man, I'm so close to this opportunity. The reserve is met. I could be just another 1,000 away from getting this great house.
Yep.
So they probably play the time factor in their favor because as your wheels are spinning in your head, you're thinking to yourself, I could pay a little bit more for this.
Sure. Absolutely.
But you're right. It is a Friday night here, and it's 5 o'clock, a couple minutes to 5 right now, p.m. I mean, maybe he's got to go out to dinner. I don't know.
Another investor, maybe. Owner-occupied, I would be sitting there till,
And I know what I do. When I bid, I go, nope, honey, do whatever you want. Go ahead, order a pizza. I'm going to be in the room here bidding on this house, and I'll let you know if I win.
Exactly.
But I have had situations where the bidding is scheduled to end at like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, which is also weird. So I have done the whole proxy bidding thing, which I think we should talk about too.
Sure.
Where I've set a price of, $100,000 on something, and I go to bed. And then I wake up in the morning, and I either lost or got the property. More likely than not, lost the property. But, if he really wanted it, he could just set his price at 100 or... right now we're at 94,000. Set it at his top bid and go, screw it. I'm going to take my girlfriend out to dinner.
Right. And it's very evident, though, on Hubzu here when that happens. Because as I've been starting my bid process and going up into these higher numbers now, I think the bidding started for me at 79.5 in that range. And when I was doing those initial bids, throwing the bid out there, it would put out there, congratulations, we've received your bid at 79.5. However, you've been outbid by an auto bid. So that tells me that obviously somebody has a higher bid price out there, and it automatically tells me that you've already been outbid.
Right.
We're in this process now where it's back and forth. We know he's not auto bid at this point. Does that mean that, like you were saying, time is on our side if we keep playing this game back and forth?
Well, in essence, there's a certain point where it's a time factor and it's a financial factor.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this guy's top bid is 95, and we're already extended this thing by, 45 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, 45 minutes because it was 4:15.
4:15
was the ending time.
Right.
There could be, in theory, is it really worth his time to sit there and here? Could back off based on that factor.
So a little mental chess game. I like it.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I know it's a little bit different. I was telling you earlier, with auction.com, they also add a time increment when you bid in the last 5 or 10 minutes or whatever it is. But theirs is actually like it progressively. Is that progressively? It transcends downward. So it might be a 5-minute increase when you bid when there's less than 5 minutes left. But then when you get down to 1 minute, for the first 10 minutes you're doing a bid under 1 minute, it tacks on 5 minutes, tacks on 5 minutes. But then at a certain point, it just starts tacking on 30 seconds, and then 10 seconds, 10 seconds. So it does that's the word, de-escalate down to a point where you've got a very small time frame to continue bidding. It's interesting.
So I have a question on this bidding process with Hubzu, and it'd be interesting to know. I think I already know the answer, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
Yep.
So say this no way guy ends up being the highest bidder.
Yep.
He ends up backing out.
Yep.
All right. Let's say he bids this thing up to $100,000, but then he backs out.
Mm-hmm.
Hubzu contacts me, and because I put a little check mark in that box that says, "Hey, contact me within 30 days if the high bidder guy bails." What are they going to offer me the price of the property at?
Your last bid.
My last bid.
Your last bid, yeah.
So that was what I thought. That was what I thought. But hey, what about? Well, if this guy backed out? Basically, he's got no skin in the game left, and I was the only guy there. Would you go back? Would there be an argument that you would go back to the point where that third? Because I see there's 3 bidders on this history right here.
Right.
That third bidder bailed at whatever price around that reserve at about 80. So he bailed out. Would there be an argument there that I could say, well, you know what? This guy is a fake bidder. He bids it all the way up, and then he bails. Why not go back to where that third bidder was or in that area?
It's a good point. I don't know the answer to that.
Just a thought. I don't know.
So let's talk a little bit about the proxy bidding. I know we touched on it briefly because I said I go to bed and I put a bid in, but
yeah,
tell our listenership what and because I know you have some experience bidding on eBay as well, which is something I don't really partake in too often. What's the proxy bidding process?
Well, the definition of proxy is that it allows somebody to represent you in something. So for proxy bidding, you're allowing eBay. Let's say, for example, if you put in a proxy bid, your highest bid, you tell eBay, if I'm going to buy this widget and the highest and the most that I want to pay for it is $100, they will bid in your place. So I could put that proxy bid in for $100, shut the computer off, go to bed, like you talked about earlier.
Right.
And during the night, it'll bid, if the widget is selling for $5 at this point, it'll take that highest bid and bid up the next increment. So if it's at $5 and it now goes to $10, now my bid goes in at $10.
Right. And
if somebody decides, well, I'm gonna bid $20 on
$20, yeah.
Then my bid will go in at $30. So it'll keep going up to my highest point until
Right.
that $100 is met. Now, if that other bidder who's bidding against me, or a group of bidders bidding against me, they go above my $100 proxy limit, then I'm out, and the bid continues on until it ends.
Just keeps going.
Just keeps going.
So it's effectively placing your highest possible bid out there, with the understanding that when it reaches that high bid, if you're going to continue to bid up. If it doesn't get to that point, and you'll be the highest bidder at whatever that amount is at that time, which you're right, it is hard to describe. But so this thing starts at $60,000. You put your high bid in as a proxy bid at 90, let's say. In this case, you would have been the high bidder for the last 3 days or 4 days until that guy who we're fighting against now, No Wooler, bid 91, and then it would have kicked you out and said you've been out. Well, yeah, that you've lost the auction or you've lost the bid. But I know with Hubzu in particular, every time someone bids against you, they shoot you an email and say, hey, you're no longer the highest bidder, but we rebid for you, and now you're the highest bidder at this price. So that's exactly what happened with the individual that we're bidding against today. Is that person may or may not have been watching watching the website, but effectively he received an email when Mr. Riveted Holdings outbid him the final time, which exceeded his high bid, and then he jumped on and decided to keep bidding on his own manually. So it's interesting.
So we had 10 minutes left.
It's 10 minutes. I see it right now.
And I just put in another bid.
Right now?
Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm increasing the amount of time.
Oh, so we're leveraging the time factor.
We're leveraging the time factor. So
you're
now
gonna piss him off.
We're at 25 minutes now.
Oh, I see it.
Yep. So now I'm the highest bidder.
You just bought 15 minutes with $1,000 is what you did.
That's basically what I did, exactly.
That sounds better than Bitcoin. I got to get into this.
No, Bitcoin.
That's funny.
Bitcoin.
Well, hold on now. That's pretty much all I do on the podcast. So.
No, but you know
free.
But you know what you're talking about. You have the history.
Sometimes I do.
In real estate.
Yeah,
at least in real estate, you know what you're talking about in your podcast. The Bitcoin is, it's too far out left field. I do some trading on the side myself, but I do not involve myself in the Bitcoin. I don't have enough education to even dip my toe in that realm.
Yeah, so earnest money is 3% of the bid amount, or $15,000 is what it says under that bottom section there.
Whatever is less.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, I think
the lesser of 3% or $15,000.
Correct. And then I think and I don't have the screen up, so you're going to have to correct me, but the buyer's premium is at a 5% or $15,000, whichever is...
No, it says buyer's premium greater of 5% of bid or $1,000.
$1,000, okay.
So the greater of, it's always more than $1,000 unless you're buying a property for $50,000, I guess, but or whatever that number is.
What I like about this area is it's really hilly there.
Yeah, it is.
It's really hilly. So,
crazy.
I mean, for the people who don't know Northern Illinois, at least northeastern Illinois, it's pretty flat, in the area that we're at. And this little pocket of residential area is really very hilly. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, I'd be wondering if you didn't have four-wheel drive in the wintertime and some icy roads, if you'd be sliding back down a hill on occasion.
Yeah.
Not on this particular street, but there's a lot of ups and downs over there for sure.
And what I like about this property, as I've driven around the neighborhood a little bit, just kind of getting a feel for the neighborhood, is it is on top of the hill. So it's not one of those properties that's down at the bottom of the hill that I see with all the, the big culverts and the big retention areas that they try to drain and move water, because water is always one of your biggest concerns, I think, in properties. Where the drainage is, how it's going. This property did actually have some water damage. It looks like from interior piping that produced some interior water damage.
Right. Frozen pipes.
But for the outside, for the Mother Nature aspect of water running, this thing it's the best it can be.
Right. Top of the hill.
King of the hill.
I like it. Interesting. So when we've done a bunch of work as a real estate company with hedge funds based throughout the U.S. So I go to some of these conferences like IMN, which I've talked about many times before, and I wasn't making a joke before about some dude in New York bidding on a house. Like, some of these guys will be like, yeah, we mainly get most of our properties through online auction. Sometimes we send people out to the sheriff's sale because we can touch on this in a minute, but there's a company out there called ProBidder right now. Or they're called ProBidder, and they're gaining popularity right now, and they essentially will sit at the sheriff's sale as a proxy bidder, as we described earlier, on your behalf. So you say, I will pay up to $100,000 for this house, and they will bid that property on your behalf up to $100,000. They come there with the cashier's checks, which on sheriff sales you have to have, certified funds to bid. They require that money in their own account prior to the day of the auction, obviously. So you wire in the money, a day before or whatever, and then they get the cashier's check, show up at the auction. That said, many companies I've conversed with, we'll call it, some of these conferences, where their main strategy of acquisition is to bid online through these auction platforms, and they never even see the house. I mean, We've had a couple that have engaged us that have said, hey, can you go look at this property, take some photos for us? And back, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I played that game where I'd be like, yeah, sure. But I realized because they're working on volume and they're bidding on properties all across the U.S. That I was kind of spinning my own wheels, so I stopped doing it. But, it could be anybody. That's what's interesting about this. And they have no idea that, they're looking at those photos that are on Hubzu, and you really don't know. It doesn't really paint the full picture of what's going on with that house.
It doesn't give the extent of of what's going on, right?
Yeah. I guess in theory they might have some boots on the ground that maybe looked at it, but from the experience I've had with some of these hedge fund type guys, that answer would be no. They're just, at this point, they'll email me and say, hey, what do you think the ARV on this property, what do you think the after repaired value on this property is? And I'll give them a number if it's in their wheelhouse. I don't receive that too commonly, but now they're just they're working a formula backwards saying, hey, if the ARV is 200, we'll be willing to pay up to 130 or 150 or whatever it is. And they're not even really sure how much work that needs to go into it, which is another interesting point because some of the bigger players like Blackstone, which is the biggest homeowner, the biggest single-family rental homeowner in the U.S. is Blackstone Group, based out of the West Coast, I think, California. And, they were basically at negative margins. They were losing money when they were buying back in 2012 and 13, not in 10 and 11, but, through a period banking on the fact that they would get their gains through appreciation over time, which they ended up winning that battle ultimately. But it just kind of goes to show you, this guy or gal that we're bidding against, they could have no experience, no clue about the property. Most of the hedge fund type people that I've conversed with, you can tell I shouldn't say that. Never assume, but probably don't know anything about fixing up a house.
Sure.
Just kind of an interesting theory that they're just working numbers. They're working numbers over and over, and they win some, they lose some, and in the end, hopefully, it averages out to a 6% return annually. Because their returns that they're looking for are so much smaller than somebody like me or you would be looking for.
Right.
Because they're working off
there's volume.
Right. Big volume. So
sure.
6% on $1 million is a lot different than 6% on $100,000 investment.
Bingo. So. Well, that's the interesting part of my personal experience in this has been very hands-on. So every property has been very hands-on with me at this point. And yes, I'm running numbers, and I have a scope that I know I can work within, but I'm hoping to hit a certain percentage on each property, not an aggregate. Because
right.
I'm not doing volume like that.
Right.
So yeah, being very hands-on like this is definitely different, and it's almost a little scary when you're thinking about bigger companies like that are just doing everything by the numbers.
Right.
Yeah, they could really mess up on a property. Hopefully that that all gets absorbed by other properties they bring in. But holy cow, that's scary for a guy like me.
Well, Well, it's good for a guy like you.
It's good
because you're actually protecting your investment where they're kind of haphazardly cowboying it a little bit, which is true. I mean, say it to any of their faces if they're sitting here right now, just kind of randomly winging it. I would say, that's scary to some aspect, but.
Well, I think that the risk that I'm taking, I know it's more defined than what they're taking, but the part that messes me up as an individual is that if they are going to overbid on a property like this, then that's a potential for me not to have something that I know the numbers are going to work one way, and then they do it and they overbid it and they hurt themselves, but they I guess they absorb it somehow down the river.
Absolutely. Or when they do get hurt, which is what I brought up earlier, they just sit on the property. So effectively, since the crash of 2008, if you were to purchase properties in 2009, 10, 11, whatever, you're getting them at a very steep discount. They probably were, rolling in cash at that point, in theory, based on the rentals they were receiving. But when things started to pick up again in like 12, 13, and 14, and now to this point in 17 where it's, it hasn't stopped. We've been riding this escalator up for the last, 6-7 years for sure. They have bought bad properties.
Totally goes against the thought of how I would want to invest as an individual, right? As anybody should, hopefully. You're not betting on appreciation as much as you're just betting on the numbers that are working as it sits or as it will sit when you fix it.
Never bank on appreciation. Correct.
Bingo. All right. One thing I noted, it says, note, the seller may choose to negotiate with bidders even if reserve isn't met.
Yep.
So you're right under your bid, the current bid price. It shows whether the reserve is met, yes or no. And then under that it says the note, the seller may choose to negotiate with bidders even if the reserve isn't met. So really, what might behoove somebody like myself wanting to bid on Hubzu, if I didn't have anybody I'm bidding against, and just because I'm not meeting the reserve doesn't mean I should keep upping my bid until the reserve is met. What's your thought on that?
Say it again.
Well, there's a reserve that's put on by the seller. We don't know what that reserve number is. We just know whether our bids are meeting that reserve or not, because it says right there, reserve met, yes or no.
Correct.
But there's a note there that says the seller may choose to negotiate with bidders even if reserve isn't met. Mm-hmm. So say on this property, I believe, if my recollection is correct, that the reserve was somewhere around that 82, or was it 80?
I thought it was 80.
80,000. Let's say 80,000.
80, yeah.
For argument's sake, 80,000 reserve. As soon as that $80,000 mark was breached, the reserve met went from no to yes.
Right.
Correct. But I had another guy that I'm bidding against, and so that's why it's higher than that at this point, sitting at $95,000. Question is, if there were no other bidders, so I'm not bidding against anybody else, and that reserve met still said no, and I'm sitting at that 77 mark, 78 mark, and I'm like, you know what? Do I keep pushing this? Because I'm the only bidder here. I'm looking around. Yeah. I'm looking at the bid history. Okay, I'm the only guy online. Do I keep pushing it until I get the reserve, or do I just go to a point where I can get the best price for the thing, and then maybe the seller comes and reaches out to me and says, hey, per this note, I can reach out and negotiate with you even though the reserve wasn't met. It's close enough. Like your $78,000, even though you didn't know our 80 was our reserve, your 78 was close enough. You still interested? Or you're interested at 80? I don't know what they would say, but what's your thought?
I have an answer.
Oh, please.
I do. So this is personal experience. Even when you hit the reserve. So that phrase, this little note that says the seller may choose to negotiate with bidders even if the reserve isn't met, it really should probably say the seller may choose to negotiate with bidders even if the reserve is met.
Oh, okay.
Because what they typically do, now this is not all the time, every time. Again, there's somebody in the back end of this that knows that they're trying to hit a certain number, and they anticipate, even though they may put the reserve lower than what they really ideally would want, maybe if it's an owner-occupant, for example, that they know probably is not working numbers financially, trying to make a rental income or trying to flip, that there's going to be an emotional play there. So what they'll do, let me repeat that, they'll play on the emotions of an owner-occupant bidder, and what they'll typically do is when this auction closes, not this one, but when an auction closes with an owner-occupant bidder, which you have to specify as you're bidding, by the way, we didn't bring that up, but when you're bidding on these properties, it should ask you if you're an investor or an owner-occupant. When you registered, it probably asked you that question. You may not recall.
I do not.
But it typically does. Now, typically, I'm going to say, because I'm giving myself a blanket statement of I could be wrong, but I know multiple times on different websites I've had to register that way. That said, they have contacted me back after I've won the highest bid and said, yeah, we're really happy that you're the winning bidder, but instead of 100, we're really looking for 105. Can you make that happen? Otherwise, we're going to have to put it back.
Wow.
Put it back on auction. For sure. And the reason why I know this is because I bought the house I live in off auction.com. They did that to me.
Wow.
And I've had them come back to me on an investment as well, where I don't think Hubzoo's ever done that. That's honest. I don't know if Hubzoo's ever done that. I'm pretty sure they haven't. But I think it was one of the other platforms out there. Like there was another one out there that I was bidding on. This was a while ago, and they did the same thing. They said, yeah, you won the bid at $72,000, but upper management is telling me they really were looking for 78. And at that point, I was like, no, piss off. And they still took my bid. So it's almost like true salesmanship, right? It's like you're buying a car and you agree to a price, and then the guy goes to his manager and says, yeah, you know what? The manager says, we really need another $1,000 out of you, whatever. So
the old manager trick.
Great point, though. Great point to bring up.
Okay.
So, what?
No, I just got an email from Hubzoo, but I still got 6 minutes, 18 seconds. I thought it was an outbid email. It just says that they received my most recent bid from 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
15
really?
minutes ago, yeah. So a little bit slow on the email. Sorry about that. Sorry for cutting you off. But yeah, that's a great point. That whole I got to go see the manager thing. We accepted your bid. Can you actually bring more to the table? Yeah, that's
right.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But in your experience, you said no. My bid was my bid, and they came back down to your price then.
Right. It was just. Oh, I got that same email that you got. It was just an opportunity for them to try to jack a little bit more money out of me.
Sure. Which is unfortunate that they're thinking that way, but
privately held, whatever. They're trying to make the most money they can. Why not ask, right? You don't know. You won't know unless you ask. That's true.
Yeah. I guess that goes on to play with, be solid in your convictions. No, this is what it was. This is what the auction was. I think that seems like that there'll be some rules there to protect you, to show you that you won the auction.
Right.
You have to be held to that standard. But I guess their thought maybe, and this is me just being a little negative, is that if they're giving the people availability to walk away from it without paying, say for, we keep using this same scenario that no way ends up, maybe winning and then bailing.
Right.
If they give them that opportunity, maybe they think that they have the opportunity to just come and pump it up to the next guy. I don't know. Why not? Unfortunately, Joe, you're going to be the bearer of bad news on this one if I have to go another $1,000 because you're the one that gets the email first. I keep watching. Stop it. See, I keep watching your face from across the room because you're the one that keeps getting the email before. 30, legitimately, almost 15 to 30 seconds. 1 minute, 59 seconds, guys. So this is where it gets interesting because you never know if this guy's going to sit there and go, well, I've played this a certain way, right? This is kind of conspiracy theorist kind of mentality of how's this other guy thinking right now, and not having all the facts in front of me. But the only thing I know is what I know on my end, that he's been putting in bids religiously around the 10 to 6 minute mark left in the auction. Mm-hmm. We're down to a minute 30.
Woo! We're almost there.
No.
Don't get too excited yet, because there could be some other jackass that's waiting on the other end that's going to put it in with 2 seconds left.
Exactly. So there goes where the mental part of it comes in, because now it's starting to get exciting, and right at the end, somebody could throw a curveball, and I'm okay with that. I'm looking at a picture on a screen at this point. I know it's a good deal. But I can't get wrapped up in the fact that, it's an auction, I'm just going to keep pushing.
We ran the numbers.
Yep.
And we talked about an ARV of $180,000. So after repair value of $180,000,
right.
I think that's pretty conservative, in my opinion.
Right.
But you got to have a baseline, and I prefer to be conservative. But the net, we ran the numbers on when you actually do the refinance and what that loan would roughly end up costing, and the taxes and the insurance. I mean, it was a net cash flow per month of like $500, which is awesome.
Right.
Even with our crazy high Illinois taxes, it's really, if you can get a $500 a month net, I mean, I think that's a great opportunity. So we're 22 seconds away from confirming the fact that Mr. Riveted Holdings has purchased another property.
Oh, nope. I just see it. 15 minutes, 8 seconds.
Are you kidding? Somebody waited till...
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
You know what I'm going to do?
I don't know what you're going to do. Play the same game?
No, yeah. No, I'm not going to play the same game. I'm just going to put it in now and make him wait another...
It was that same guy.
Yeah.
Wow. So you and Mr. NW, no way, have been bidding since, for a while now. 79,000 all the way up to, we're at 97,000. We've almost increased the price by $20,000 since you started bidding against him. That's
right.
Crazy.
So he waited.
He's playing the time game against you.
Yeah, he played the time game.
Yeah, he did.
But so interesting time game. I can't say which one's better. Mm-hmm. His time game is he waited all the way down to 13 seconds?
Yeah, dude, like right at the end.
Right. And then
he's watching this just like we are.
So he threw in his bid, and that bumps it 15 minutes. So now it's 15 minutes and 13 seconds.
Somebody else bid.
So what I did is I threw in my bid right away, and I put another 15 minutes on it. I waited until...
Yeah, you did.
Because it's 15 minutes and 13 seconds. I waited that 13 seconds, let it cross that 14:49 mark. I put in my bid. It adds another 15 minutes to it. So
now we're at 28 minutes left.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
He's going to have to sit here and...
He's going to have to wait a half hour.
He's going to have to bleed a little bit, yeah.
And you're going to make him pay for it. Because if you don't win the bid, if we sit here, by the way, if you sit until like 9 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be pissed. But if we sit here and you get that, you increase that guy's bid, if he goes up to 110 or whatever, which I think is, probably that threshold that we're sitting at, right? Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you made him pay a shit ton more money than he could have,
right?
Which is part of it, right?
Well,
that's what I think about the backside. I'm like, I'm bidding against some guy, whatever, and he cost me or she cost me $20,000 or whatever. It's interesting.
Yeah,
and it's probably somebody who comes to the meetup and they're going to listen to the podcast and laugh and be like, "Oh, it was that guy."
Yep,
that's really not funny at that point.
No, do we know any NWs?
I don't know. Have to think about it.
So 27 minutes, 45 seconds left. It's just going to be a waiting game. I might change it up. Say he throws another bid in, I'm still within my price, and I'm going to. When am I going to throw my bid in? I might be not right away. I might wait his whole 14 minutes and 50 some seconds before I whack that bid in again. And now he's thinking he's going to win, and he doesn't. So I might play the same game with him after he has to sit through this 30 minutes.
How hard do you think about this?
It's a chess game at this point. It really is.
I guess it is. That's awesome.
So the concept on this one that I just did with him was he puts in his bid, and I match. I beat it right away. So I don't let him think that I'm thinking about it. I'm showing him that. Hey, I'll sit here all night. I'll keep hitting that bang, bang, bang button.
That makes
sense.
Then
so I'm trying to scare him off a little bit.
Remind me not to bid against you.
No.
I'd be like, screw this. I'm out. I got to go somewhere. I got to go eat. I'm hungry. Whatever.
May or may not work. It's just the thought.
No, it's cool though. I think probably won't be the podcast of the year for the most listens, but I mean it's kind of cool because let's talk about it for a second though. Like you said earlier. You said it was nice to be able to, and I'm not trying to give myself any extra credit, but
sure.
Like it's nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Like we're sitting here, we're doing it. Well, now you got to think about all the people that have never bid on anything, and the fact that there's little tidbits that they're picking up along the way. And I know we're talking like we're being recorded. It's kind of interesting because as soon as you hit record on the device, like your whole conversation changes in a certain direction. Like you got to keep talking. Instead of just naturally speaking, but I mean, in theory, I think there's some benefit to what this is because it's like a lot. I mean, maybe we should have video recorded it. It would have been more entertaining, but like just how this whole system works because I know there's people out there listening right now that have never done this.
Well, I think this is a one step towards doing something at your meetup then, and maybe bringing this up on the big screen.
We'll do like a live bid at the meetup.
You could do a live bid. That would be kind of cool. I think that kind of gets people excited. I think you would, thinking back to the previous meetups that I've been at Tanis, I know for sure that there's plenty of people that would sit here through this whole process and probably absorb it all and get involved and get the feeling of excitement that you have of knowing that you're getting a good deal and you can do it on a bidding platform like this.
Right.
So I think that would be neat.
No, that's great. I love it. It's 2 on that one. That was a double whammy.
That
was a double whammy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice.
At 27 degrees.
Yeah, it's freaking cold out. How's our time doing on this? An hour and
8 minutes.
And we started before that.
Right. Well, yeah, we were a solid, hour? No, 45 minutes before that? Because when I sat down
4:15.
here. Yeah, I got
20
here.
Minutes. 20 minutes.
Well, I got here like 3:30, whatever.
Oh. Yeah,
because it ended at
You're right.
So we've been going for a while.
Oh, this is fun stuff, though. I like this.
Yeah.
To me, I did a podcast about this, finding deals in your spare time, I think is what I called it. I should really look up the episode number, but you could be making dinner right now. You could be hanging out watching TV with the kids. You could be, doing, and that's probably one of the challenges, one of the obstacles we're running into, especially with technology and working off your phone or even a laptop. They're so small nowadays. Okay, 22 minutes left. Let me set the timer on my phone for 15 minutes from now. Boom, run back into the office, computer room, study, pick up your phone while you're eating dinner, whatever. Hey, honey, sorry, I got to bid on this. I'm an investor. I got to place this bid real quick.
Right.
No, I could see how that would happen. It's just kind of interesting how it all works.
Sure. Yeah, I can picture that. I legitimately do. I do have family that's waiting, but they understand as well that this is important to me. It's hard for me for the thing I'm going to do with the family to actually break away and do like the 15-minute timers and then break away. But so I purposely came here to get in more of a secluded setting so we can learn from this process one-on-one, which is great. I'm committed on this one for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
All right, we're back live again because we've decided to cut you out of some of that minutia of detail between the time frames that we've been sitting here for an hour. We've got 46 seconds left on this auction, and we're conversing about the property itself and some of the ways these auction platforms work, which we've kind of already talked about so far in this podcast. But let's see if we can add another property to the portfolio today. We've got 28 seconds left.
And just to catch you guys up, the last time that this guy put another bid in to trump me was right about now at 13 seconds, and we're still not seeing anything come in. I'm at 10 seconds now, Joe.
You're at 10. I'm at 12.
Okay, I'm showing. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm showing 4, 3, 2, 1, and
no, mine's still at 4.
You're at 4. Okay, I'm showing auctions ended. I'm going to refresh that.
I see auction ended. That means you won, I think. High five!
High five!
Woo!
Yes! Yes! It's a winner! It's a freaking winner, dude.
Yes!
That is a winner. I love it. Wow.
Time to make a phone call, I think.
Yeah, I think it is time to make a phone call. As soon as I make a phone call, though, it's going to kick it. So.
No, I'm going to make the phone call.
Oh, you are? Wow. Whew. This is the emotional part. Now the emotional part is draining right now. It's like you try to.
It's money, dude. You make some money on this.
But
dude, you're buying a house for $97,000 that's worth easily $180,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's a great deal.
Now the emotions are setting in, is what I'm saying.
The
wall of emotions was set to hold it all back, and now it's like, wow, now the floodgates are open. That's awesome. It's a win. It's a total win.
I love it. So they're going to send you a contract in like a second.
Win.
You have to send over an earnest money check.
Okay. Hello. You're being recorded for real this time. I know I texted you last time saying that you got cut off, but you're being recorded.
Okay.
How do you feel about adding another property to the portfolio?
Oh, so excited.
God, I can sense that
I
emotion
know.
through the phone.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, well, it looks like you're going to have to start painting again.
Yep.
I ain't painting that for a long time.
Get your painting clothes out.
Long time. Painting is last.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you like doing all that? You like just going to the store and buying stuff then, right?
I do like doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why it makes sense. But yeah, well, it looks like Riveted Holdings won the bid.
Really? That was fast-ish?
Not fast. We've been sitting here since 3:30. It's 6 o'clock.
I thought it was going to go for days, so that's fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, we told you probably, maybe Christmas Eve he could make it back home, but yeah, no, it took obviously we've been doing this. It was supposed to end at 4:15, so it's an extra hour and 45 minutes it took just to keep bidding.
So does he get to come home right now?
No, he's got some stuff to do.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to send over the contract, which I would, I'm just going to be here to help him with in case there's anything that comes up. Probably not longer than a half hour, though.
And a celebratory beer? That's
No, we're not having any beer.
Okay.
I lied. We are.
I believe you.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to feel your excitement, so thank you for that.
So excited.
I know you are.
The podcast listeners can feel it through their podcast right now.
I'm just hoping there's no bodies uncovered in there.
Oh,
we checked it out. There's no bodies.
Yeah, you were there.
Bodies? Yeah, we didn't get under those tarps, though.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good point.
Awesome.
Yes.
And she's a comedian on top of it all.
Yeah. All right, honey.
All right. Okay, so half an hour, you think, really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I would think by then, but
Really? Okay.
really.
All right.
All right.
I'll wait then. I was going to get in the car and drive, but I'm going to wait now.
No. I'll call you later. I'll call you right after we stop the podcast, and then we'll figure it out.
How long is that?
Give me 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, love
Love
you, bye.
you, bye.
Bye.
So one of the challenges truly with being in a single investor like this and trying to add properties to the portfolio and being at a point where I'm very hands-on is the stressors that do come to the family, right? I mean, that's true. So that's one of the things that you just want to point out that you we're making light of it, but the reality is she knows that now I'm going to be spending a lot of time with this property, which is okay. To me, I enjoy it.
Sure.
She doesn't see the immediate gains at this point. What she will reap is in the future that financial security will have the capability of spending more time together later. So that's the immediate gratification that she doesn't get, but she's going to have to keep that in check to know that the end goal is there.
Right. So no, I get it.
Yeah.
And after you start doing this, 10 times a year, it's just going to become second nature anyway, and it doesn't matter because
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Or she becomes like my wife and goes to Home Goods every day, and like the highlight is going shopping at 9 a.m. when the store opens to beat all the other people in there to buy Ray Dunn pottery. And, that's probably like, yeah, okay, if he needs to take care of some extra stuff and work a little bit later, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I am.
All right, well,
very excited.
Yeah, congratulations on
Thank you.
The winning bid. I know they're going to send a contract over here. I believe it comes over pretty shortly.
Should.
It should. We don't need to bore the listeners with the minutia, second time I used that word today, of that. But, yeah, it's awesome. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your help.
Fist bump. Yeah, no problem. All right. See ya. Good enough.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Investor Empowerment Series radio show. Be sure to tune in next week for another empowering episode. We welcome your feedback, so please rate us on iTunes and Stitcher. And visit us at www.investoремpowermentchicago.com or tennisgrouprealty.com.